Hello, welcome back. I'm here with my February plan with me today, and as always, the first thing I'm going to do is flip through the previous month, so the month of January. And I am not quite done with the month. I'm filming this a little bit in advance so I can get it out in time for you guys to get some ideas from it for your month of February. This first spread is my monthly goals on the left, and then my habit tracker, 5K minutes tracker, and then just a short little log of what happened that day. Next page, meal tracker, which I don't think I'll do again because I didn't really look back at it at all. I didn't do anything with that information, so it was just kind of an extra step in my day that I wasn't doing anything with. And then I am going to keep the mood symptom tracker, but I'm going to switch it up a little bit and kind of compress things slightly. If you do want to see what these look like completely done, follow my Instagram or even wait for a flip through at the end of the year. Next were my gratitude tracker and my social tracker. My social tracker is pretty good. I still did kind of get lax a little bit in the middle of the month, but I got the important stuff posted and I made it sure to kind of check on things at least once a day. And that was the goal of the social tracker. And now we're into my weeklies and dailies. I kept this pretty standard throughout the month. I started with a weekly goals section, and then I usually left space on that page just for some week journaling, and then my dailies, as you can see, are just filled in two columns. One column for tasks, one column for kind of notes and little memory bits throughout the day. Very, very quick journaling. And then I would kind of fill in larger spaces of journaling when I had a minute to think about things. And some weeks, like this week, I did do a formal retrospective of the week and kind of think about what I wanted to do in the next week. I will try to get all the different inks and pens I used into the description, but if you think I missed something, just let me know and I can tell you what a certain ink is or what pen I used for a certain piece of writing. And pretty much all of the writing I do in my journal these days is done with fountain pen. If you're not into fountain pens, that's fine, but I am totally into fountain pens, so that's gonna be most of what you see. The only time I don't use fountain pen is when I need waterproof lines because my microns are just much more reliable for that sort of thing. There are waterproof fountain pen inks, I just don't really have any. I have half a sample of one left, and then I haven't invested in any full bottles because I really like experimenting with the colors. And as you might have seen, I left a couple of pages to finish out January, and I'm just gonna get started right on my February goals page. This is gonna be identical in content to my January goals page. I picked, I think seven goals here. I don't fill in the goals until February actually starts. So if you want to look at what those end up being, again, follow my Instagram or wait till next month's video where I'll flip quickly through what I put down for February. And I did some thinking about what I wanted February to look like in terms of style. I did want to introduce more color into this notebook. As you saw, it's very black and white, very, blocks of tidy writing, which I love, but not a lot of really nice color or shape, if that makes any sense at all. And I wanted more of that in my journal. I really liked it. I mentioned this when I did my 9 posts of 2018, like my 9 most popular posts on Instagram, and both you guys and me just really like a splash of color on the page. So one of my goals after I saw that was like, oh, I should get back into doing more spreads like that. And so this month I took some time. I drew out all these circles, and some of the circles have a practical purpose and some are just for decoration. And then I just started adding blocks of color in between the circles, around the circles. It ended up being more of an abstract type of decoration, but I really liked it. And I even went so far as to add some metallic watercolor. The metallic paints look so good. I only have the one set of them, so I might even get out and get some more, but they they're really shiny. I know it's obvious, like, yeah, they're metallic watercolors, but um, given my experience with some metallic gel pens, I was a little worried that I would have to layer it a whole bunch to really get it to shine, but I don't. They do take a minute after you add water to the pans. It takes a little bit of work to get the metallic up out of the pan. Like if you just add water and switch the brush around for a second, it's very diluted with only a little bit of shimmer, but with a bit of work, you can get a solid, like a solid layer of metallic down on the page. And I'm a huge fan of that. It makes things so much easier for me. It makes adding very like classy decorations very easy. So I'm probably gonna use these entirely up. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna say I'm gonna use these up by the end of the year because I love them and I'm always looking for places that I could use them. And just a note about using watercolor on the Tomoe River paper, I have not experienced any true bleed through. The pages do get a bit crinkly and you can see through the pages pretty easily, so the ghosting will happen. It's so thin, like there's really no way to get around the ghosting. But as long as you don't just like do layer after layer of really wet paint, you shouldn't have any bleed through. And even when the pages do get a little bit crinkly, they're so thin that you can easily flatten them out and they don't get that awful like stiff sharp feeling that some really thick notebooks would do, like the Lamy notebook that I used last year. When I watercolored on that paper, it would get really like hard and kind of harden into this crooked shape, and then the Tomoe River paper will curl. As you can see, it's already started doing that a little bit, but it flattens out when you put pressure on it, and then you can easily like turn the pages and work on the pages without the crinkling really getting in the way of anything. And because I used so many layers, this first page did take a little bit longer to finish. I think this took about an hour between planning out what I wanted to do, drawing out these circles, which I did with a nickel, just a normal US currency nickel. I tried a quarter, but they were just a little bit too big. I couldn't fit enough goals on the left side of this page, and so I just kept trying different circular objects on my desk because I don't have anything like a compass or any circle drawing stencils, so I just use what I have on hand, and this time a nickel suited the job perfectly. And the circles on the left side of this page are going to be turned into progress bars. So in a minute I will draw outlines and then a little inner outline to mark where the progress bar will be filled up. So it'll be like a circular, start at the top and go around the circle, kind of like you see in a lot of mobile apps. You'll see progress bars like that, and then next to the circles I'm just going to write out what the goal is. So instead of having the progress fill up in a square, I just wanted to do something a little bit different, so I'm using these circles. And the right side of the page, I'm actually going to do something drastically different and use this as a place to do long form journaling, setting my goals for the month, putting myself in the right mind space, and just kind of a place I can come back to if I forget what my priorities are supposed to be and need a little bit of a reminder, because that was a problem for me in January, as you will see when my January happiness project check-in is complete, which I've been filming for and editing for throughout the month, kind of like a vlog, and then that will go up early February, probably the first week of February, so that I have time to collect all of my information and still edit and then get it up before January is too far gone. So I did have a problem kind of staying on my focus for the month. I kept switching to different projects that were not supposed to be my main project, and so I'm hoping by having this nice journaling page right at the beginning where I open up my journal every day, it'll be a reminder of what I'm supposed to be doing. My next page here is my habit tracker, and I've also crammed my symptom tracker into this page as well. So on the left side of the left page, it'll be habits in that little column. My habits for February are going to be going to sleep or getting in bed by 10:30. So I'm taking my January goal of 11 p.m. and I'm bumping it up just a little bit because I found that even though I was consistently going to bed around 11, I still was only getting about 6.5 hours of sleep every night, because it does take me a bit to actually fall asleep. It's not something I'm very good at, and so I'm hoping, maybe I'll have to start going to bed around 10 in March. I'll just keep adjusting every month until I find something that works for me, or until I find some kind of process that will get me to sleep faster. We'll see how that works out, but I found the routine of going to bed at 11 every night, and having a set time where I would stop what I was doing and go to bed. I found it really helpful because I tend to work into the night. I will just keep going, and then suddenly it's midnight or 1 a.m. and I have not even thought about going to bed yet. That was last year. This year I've turned over a new leaf, and I've at least gotten up to go to bed before 11 every single night, which is pretty good. I don't usually have like a perfect track record with new habits, but I think the framing of it in the Happiness Project has given it a little bit more weight and helped me stick to it by making it seem somehow more important. My other habits include skincare, so washing my face every day, using moisturizer, leafy greens, eating leafy greens every day in some form or another, meditation, and I actually have a second spread supporting my meditation habit, which also has been very good, probably courtesy of the Happiness Project I'm doing. And then 5 and 6 are my fish oil and vitamin D. I've been slacking a little bit on taking supplements that can really help me out. Living in the Pacific Northwest, I don't get a lot of sun, and so I need the vitamin D to keep everything balanced and keep my mood in check, as well as just my overall health. So I want to start tracking those again so I can make sure that I'm actually taking them. On the right page here, I'm doing my social media tracker, and I have simplified this quite a bit. It appears a little bit more complex, but what I've done is make a focus on tracking what I'm posting, where I'm posting it, and then the actual stats I'm tracking. In my previous one, I had 1 or 2 that I had to use a third-party social media analyzer system thing, just some free thing I found. But it wasn't built into YouTube or Instagram, so I had an extra step that I needed to actually fill this out, and I didn't want that. I didn't want this to feel like work. So I've changed it so everything I'm tracking I can see directly in the apps themselves, rather than having to, calculate things or go to a separate site to get the information. So I've also added a little sidebar where I want to do weekly averages. I am not sure exactly what I'm gonna put in these little sections, but I left the room because I have found myself wishing before that I had a place to write down the averages for things over the course of a month or a week. So I'm gonna do something with those, but exactly what it is, I'm not sure yet. I found myself lately having a little bit of a crisis of identity where I feel like at times the content I post and the things that I put effort into that eventually lead to the content I post can be a little bit scattered. I sometimes feel like I don't have a focus anywhere, which may be why I couldn't focus in January, is not because I was just getting distracted, but maybe because my focus itself is not clear. So I'm also using the social media tracker and the content to see both what I gravitate towards and what the people who follow me because they like something about my content, see what they get the most value out of, and try to use that to direct myself in the future. I have talked about this before. I have a problem with wanting to do everything, and that's not even that much of an exaggeration. I have so many hobbies that I can get confused as to what I like the most or what brings the most to my life. And so I don't know. It's kind of a hard question because I am still finding my footing a little bit. I'm still figuring out what I want to do, how I want to do it, and so I'm looking for ways to clarify that, first to myself and then to my potential audience, because it's very hard to collect a following of people when you don't even know what it is that you're doing. And, this is a bit of a dramatic little speech here. It's not really that serious, but it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, and so I'm hoping that something in my journaling can help shed some light on what I want my purpose to be, as a creator, as a person, and then kind of find a way to direct myself towards that. My next set of spreads is where things get a little bit more fun. My gratitude tracker on the left here is the same as always, just a line for every day to write a little sentence about things that I'm grateful for. I've been trying to not write down the same thing multiple times in a month, but sometimes it happens and it's not too big of a deal. But if you really try to think of new things every day, the deeper you dig, the more value you get out of the gratitude tracker, I think, because you're really searching for things that you're grateful for. And that's how you dig up the really meaningful stuff rather than the surface stuff that is what immediately comes to mind. If you're feeling physically comfortable, what brought that about? If you're in a good mood, what brought that about? When you have to come up with new stuff and you've used up all the easy stuff, you can really dig into the meat of your life and what about your life you're truly grateful for. The spread on the right page I'm really excited about, but it's not going to look like much until the month is actually started. I took this idea from Pacific Notation on Instagram, and I'll link them below. But the idea is that you have all your days in your month and you connect the dot between what you've done and the day of the month that you did it on. And then Pacific Notation also introduced the idea of thicker lines for a longer duration or more of something. So I've also added little notes, keys I suppose, for what the different lines mean and how I'm dividing up these various things. I have coding, art, writing, and meditation. That's another adjustment that I made, was adding multiple habits. Pacific Notations, I believe, was just for meditation, and it was a little bit more artsy, a little bit more kind of that minimalist, sleek, rounded look. And this is going to be probably a bit more simple, but a lot more colorful. So I have that to say for myself. And this wraps up everything I'm setting up for February in advance. I'm gonna keep on doing my improvised dailies where I just take up as much space as I need each day and then add the next day right underneath it. So there's no setup for that. I just do it as I do it, and it's been working out pretty well for me. I may try to incorporate more like decorative sketches in this month, but no promises. Before I go, I'll flip through one more time all the February pages that I set up. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to engage with the content if you liked it. Thumbs up, subscribe, commenting. It all helps me out quite a bit, and it also gives the video a little bit more life. So let me know how your February setup is going, if you've even done it yet. If you haven't, no pressure. It's totally fine. We still have about a week, I think, before February starts, so you're totally good. Thanks again. I'll be back soon, and I hope to see you on my next video.